if you have questions for each other, you can ask them, and sort of, again, making sure that people feel confident, that they understand what has been proposed, what are some of the ideas. You know, maybe this idea you had, maybe it's, you know, in there somewhere, but it didn't come out. Maybe it's an action item or something. So, again, it's time for questions, group discussion, whatever's on people's minds. So, anybody have a first question?
I will also add, if there's anything that's a highlight from the process, from what you learned, if you want to start with something positive and just a comment, yeah, that's also welcome to share, and go from there.
Okay, I'll throw on my two bits. The one lack that I see, the one problem I see is that in terms of engaging with communities where English isn't their primary language, is the question of whether or not we reach the Chinese immigrant community. And I'm embarrassed to say that as hard as I think we need help in doing that. I think we need some direction in terms of doing that because they're there. They are inclined to open businesses, as far as I can see, and be good neighbors, and yet it's not easy. And I think that it's incumbent on us to engage and to make a greater effort. That's my thought.
Any other highlights, comments, questions?
So overlaps that you saw perhaps in the presentations from your peers, there's something that stood out.
One comment I have, I liked everything that everybody said. It seemed to me at a pretty high level, and it does, based on sort of that, it kind of opens up a lot of opportunities to do things. I'm just concerned that there's a lot of high-level stuff, and that means sometimes it's tough to get anything done. And so I'm just sort of trying to throw out the idea of trying to come up with some as specific, actionable items as we possibly can, that we can actually get something done that we can point to and say, hey, we did that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be nice to call out some wins early on, the things that we can tackle, and then things that we can as an approach to hopefully get there. But yeah, easy wins first and foremost, and then anything that, as we all know, long term and 2 to 3 years from now.
If I could just add to that, I think that there's really a lot of stuff that was discussed because it's been going on for quite some time. A lot of it is not, easily presented in, 10-minute increments for groups. So as you go online, I'm sure it's all there, right, Rachel? It's all been to you. They've been taking notes. They've been doing a great job of organizing. I think that's where probably more can be decided as we get greater feedback from the general community.
Yeah, like Jason and Leah mentioned that we have like listed locations, for example, of where certain improvements were desired. So we didn't present them all today, but you'll see them when you look at the action steps under the strategy. Like here's some places where actions needed, for example. So again, to Mel's point, maybe not presented here tonight, but we do have that, and we'll have it as part of the online tool, so you'll be able to see that.
So the idea is the online tool and then the draft coming out as based on that?
Yeah. Exactly. So, feel like 3 hands, I don't know which direction to go.
Charlie?
I just wanted to echo just that point around I feel like there's so much more we could do to really engage our neighbors in this process and really lift up their voices, young folks, a lot of first-generation immigrants in this community make the process more accessible. There were times in our land use group where even though there was just a committee of maybe 6 people up there, actually we filled this whole room. Many folks came and there was a lot of participation that was very rich. And I guess I would just say in terms of the next step and around the online survey, I think that's really falls short of this vision of how do you engage our neighbors in this process, and I feel like that's a very limiting way for people to participate, particularly those that may not feel as comfortable with technology and online survey. So I think there's other ways that we should be also thinking about doing that.
And I think we have just in next steps, we want to talk through those other ways and try to figure that. This online version is for the working group to make sure that we get it. And we're going to keep pestering the working group until everybody in the working group fills it out. And then the community can as well do that online. But then we'll also have other Sunday Streets, everybody. If you didn't get an email from Rihanna, She's gonna be out there on some of the streets. You probably should have. And you can come join her at the table. We'll have surveys there in person, so, and a couple other ways to get the word out in paper form as well.
Yeah, I think you had a comment.
I thought one part that's sort of unclear about this whole thing about is how much of this is stuff that we're trying to do voluntary, and how much of it is like we're trying to do by saying that somebody has to do something.
So are you referring to the implementation part of this?
Implementation, yeah.
So I think whether it's blind eat, what is blind eat or whatnot.
So like during the land use discussion, one of the things that we found confusing was one of the potential strategies of moderating the storefronts, business sizes, and like the people in the group were like, this sounds like a good idea, but then Mara was like, that means forcing the property owners to make the commercial places smaller, and we thought.
What do you think about your strategy? Do you think some of them are requiring voluntary action and participation? Some would be policy, that would be binding, mix?
Some things might not be. We just don't know until we can explore.
Well, and some of this, especially when you were talking about the public realm stuff, cleanliness and stuff like that, so how much of that has been budgeted? Like, is that gonna get into the next budget? Are we gonna have devoted 24/7 on Mission Street, cleaning the streets, actually using water or power washing, we could actually really get it clean, But where's the money gonna come from? And who's gonna, feet to the fire, it's gonna cost, who's gonna pay? And I don't think that ever really got discussed. It's all like pie in the sky ideas, but it's like feet to the fire, who's gonna pay for it?
Well, we made a decision to extend the process. We kind of are missing some of the budget windows, so we'll be able to ask for some money this budget year, but departments have already had to submit their budgets, so no departmental budgets can be allocated beyond what's already been asked for. So there's some add-back funds that could be, advocated for, and some other funds, maybe even the mayor's office, but other than that, so we don't have to be in the next budget cycle, unfortunately.
And so, just to add, some of the strategies that we are also existing programs, but I just want to see them expanded, right? And so those are probably easier wins that we can think of, right? So the legacy business program and implementing that a bit more thoroughly and robustly, right? So there's certain things that I think can still be done at a short-term level, but it's about prioritizing those as these are the things we want to do now, right? Versus all the myriad of things that we were looking at all at once.
So who makes those priorities?
So, we're getting there. And also to add, there's some.
Also before we move on.
And also, just one last thing on that, there's also other recommendations that require a lot more resources.
Yeah.
So I know, like, if you want entire streetscape, we're talking about better streets project, like, that needs to start happening now, even if it happens 2-3 years from now, 5 years from now. Like, so some of those things have started elevating, so the conversations are starting to happen now, and I think that's why this process is important, so we can know what the community is starting to value. Sorry, just.
Okay.
I'm glad Joel asked that because I was thinking about change it up. But going back to what David asked earlier about the Chinese immigrant community, that was a reflection that I had in the presentation that, more than 50% of Excelsior are foreign born, and not a lot of immigrant-owned businesses were represented, and not a lot of limited English proficient immigrants were maybe considered in the process. So I wonder how that falls in the next steps in the focus groups, and a little bit more thinking and follow the plan for that.
Along the lines of outreach, we talked about it, Faith just brought us back to it. I have a question for all of you to say, we would like to get this information out more, not only to the Chinese community, but to laborers, to anyone and everyone you can think of, and we'd love your help in doing it and any connections that you have. Like, there's a Chinese evangelical church on my block, and I think there's Chinese people there. And
Don't assume.
I think, but so there's an idea. Well, what tools can we use to go to where people are and engage them with this? Because if we build it for this process, we can build on it for subsequent processes. Once those connections are in place. So, any ideas here right now? Yes, Dave?
Actually, to that point, I think we should think about strategic contacts within the resources that we already have.
Sounds
So,
great.
yeah.
Awesome, great.
Is Sunday Street a good help for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could be thinking about, like what they said, at Sunday Streets, we're looking for strategic contacts. Not only people, oh, are you a part of a community group? Great, you'd like to know more. Is there someone that you, within your group, that could help us get the word out about this? And so the way we go about it, we could easily gather more connections.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes left, so, Mel?
I just wanted to say back to the funding question, we don't have the answer to that, right? We don't. But one of the things that we do know is that this process, I think in large part, at least in my opinion, was about the visioning and also the voice of the neighborhood. And I know, having participated in the public realm group, that was actually the group that I was in, it's not an accident that #1 strategy was clean, green, and the word maintain. So that with a very strong voice, we intentionally intended to get that out there, because if any funding is coming, that's obviously a major priority for pretty much, I mean, I haven't heard anybody argue against that point. So I think we're hoping funding will come from those.
And I would say there's some things that the items are either existing programs or could be done with existing staff. It just depends on what it is.
Okay. So any other closing remarks before we just move to the last 2 items on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. So just, we're having technical difficulties, so we can't have the PowerPoint on. But you all have this in front of you. So if you have any other questions, recommendations about outreach, suggestions, things that we should be talking to beforehand or now, contact any of these 4 people on this slide. Me, Sue, Stephanie, and Rihanna. So in the back. So anybody, if you feel a phone call, email, whatever it may be. If you don't feel comfortable coming to the city, come to a community partner. And any questions, anything you want to suggest to us. Just for next steps, so the next step is to actually have the published survey, the voting tool, if you will, for the working group. This is where the working group is going to put the recommendations out, or select the recommendations so we can put them out to the world. The working group bodies. So this particular body is putting those out. Not saying that the community cannot vote, they can participate, but there'll be other more, the idea here is that the working group, this particular body, again, just to emphasize, is putting out the recommendations to the world. And from there, we'll come together in about 6 weeks and have the results, and then hopefully outline the outreach plan, taking the recommendations on the road. What does that look like? And that's hopefully by then we'll have a draft, a recommendation of what we want to see, but also we want to make sure that working group members are helping us partner with this, or actually are leading us on how to actually do better outreach and communicate with different populations that we cannot reach, because we don't have those networks, we cannot tap into them, because we don't know how we can't, or we're not connected to them. So there's be an opportunity when we take these recommendations to tweak some of these, put some more meat on some of the recommendations, get some feedback from what the community thinks. It would be an opportunity to explore these strategies further with other community members who have not been participating or who we haven't been able to engage with. So, and then hopefully at that meeting too, we'll do that, and we'll also talk about implementation. What does that look like? Talk a little bit more about, what are your ideas? Like, what does that funding request will start looking like? How do we, making sure that we are thinking about implementation, and that we're not just thinking, there's a plan out there that nobody's going to work around. So that's going to be the focus, hopefully in about 6 weeks, but we'll circle back with all of you to schedule that.
So again, just in terms of the timeline, so a week from now, you're going to receive the survey. We're going to leave it open for about 2 weeks and really encourage and not demand, if we can, the folks fill it out, especially working with members. And some of the options that you're going to see there are, I support this, if it were worded this way, or I don't support this at all. And that way we can start actually having a real understanding of what the strategy should be down the road, because we acknowledge that making meetings is not easy for a lot of folks. And so the online method was something that a lot of folks asked us to implement. when we were making cold calls of, hey, are you coming today, or what's going on? They're like, you can send it to me via email.
So this survey is open for us, obviously, but to the public as well?
Right.
Exactly, it will be open to the public.
But we're going to be really looking at working group votes and how they're rating these. And again, options are agree, or I would agree if, is language read like this, and then, or no. And the idea is that we're trying to work to consensus. We're trying to all agree on these strategies and make sure that we as a body feel very comfortable and supportive of everything that's coming out of here.
So you had a question?
Yeah, so this is obviously an iterative process, right? Meaning that you're putting out these recommendations, you're permitting the community then to have some opportunity to respond, and then you're gonna finalize. Because the way it kind of sounded like you're putting it out to the world,
Yes.
I'm like, okay, sometimes people can run with that, and there's inopportune times to give feedback to really enhance and improve the strategic plan. Also, what is the budget? What does the budget look like for the upcoming year? Is that available information?
So there's no, so you mean budget for this process alone, or for,
No.
for implementation? So there's no budget per se for implementation,
Yeah.
because every item on the strategy can be a policy, like we mentioned, or it can be a program that already exists, it's about redirecting resources, or if it's a larger recommendation, like a streetscape, like we said, like infrastructure improvements, those can require almost a decade just to get the funding in line and planned for. It just depends on what raises to the top after we take these recommendations out to the community to get more support for those.
So I think we should do that as the next step, is
Yes.
once we get, what are the top things, what does everybody really wanna do? This is a really, really long list. So when you get this shorter list and the really important things, then we can start to put, I think, dollar amounts and timeframes and all sorts of stuff onto that to help define it. So I have just a couple quick announcements.
Yeah.
Mirna is here from YPAN, and we have been working with some Balboa High School students who are looking at the neighborhood. And we'll be back to you with kind of more information on what that looks like and how we might share what they're working on with this group. But we're really excited that it's kind of a really fun opportunity to work with youth. I mean, I think what people mentioned here, we want to come engage youth, so we've been doing that with the Balboa High School kids, and they have developed a survey that they would like us to fill out, for you to fill out.
Oh.
So, yes, for kind of for their process. So she's going to give you.
Yeah, so I have a little QR code, and it also has the link on the side, so you can just scan it with your phones. Most phones now just pick it up as soon as you open your camera in front of this. It's a really brief survey, shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, and it's questions that will give the students in Balboa High a little insight on what you guys are facing in the community, issues or challenges, but also trends that are happening in the community, so that they can incorporate that into the projects that they're going to be developing, recommendations and proposals for SF Planning Department to be merged with this process. So hopefully you guys can take a few of these, you can scan it and then pass it to your neighbors, so we can get a lot of community members to actually fill it out. And the students will be reviewing this data in the next couple of weeks. We're also going to be inviting SF Planning Department and some of you from the working group to come to the high school mid to late April to come and see the students present their ideas about this neighborhood. So that's really a way to engage them, not just to know what's happening, but to really take leadership as a class. And it's really nice to be able to do that during their class time, because maybe they're not able to join evening events like these. So help us by filling this out and distributing it to other people in your neighborhood. Yeah.
Would you be able to make it multilingual?
So this one's in English, but I could make a Spanish or other language translations, and then we can share it through the planning department. We can figure that out. Yeah, so let me just pass this out.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then I think just one temporary staff announcement that Rachel is moving over just a little bit to the supervisor's office for the next 2 months. So, yeah.
Can you get rid of us?
One place or the other. So she's obviously she's here around. I think we've met a lot of the planning team. Just to remind everybody, so again, Rihanna, Aaron, myself. But I do want to mention that she has been doing a lot of work.
Yep.
And so this, we are kind of still, this is a really recent transition this week. It's for 2 months, so it's a short time. But we do have to kind of think through what does that mean for our project timeline overall. We have a bunch of events, like we said, Sunday Streets. We have the survey coming out. We're working with the Balboa High School kids to do that. So there's a bunch of things that are still obviously continuing the works, and we're working on a lot of things, but we're trying to exactly figure out if this moves the timeline or not on our project, given just a staffing change. So we'll kind of keep you posted, but we'll be back in 6 weeks, like we said, after the survey to sort of to really have all the details worked out on our document production, which is.
So this is the last time that Rachel's going to be in a meeting with us?
No.
No.
In fact, when 6 weeks when she goes back, it'll be almost over her stint.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
no. She'll be Suha is on leave. So I don't know if you remember Suha used to come to the meetings.
Yeah.
And attend. So Rachel's filling in for Suha, who had to take a personal leave. So that's why we kind of listed our names to it as planning, but Rachel's obviously still really involved.
Still have the same email.
Yeah.
Any other last closing comments? If not, we're adjourned. Please help
Wow.
yourself to.